Hello, welcome to the Bad Vibes Club. I'm Matt, I'm your host. It's your boy, etc. We're back to our regular, irregular schedule of artist and other creative practitioner interviews. So that's fun. This week, as though we're weekly, this time we're speaking to Dina Kelberman, who's an American artist. She's living in LA. Her practice is really varied. She does lots of different things. I saw her recently do a screen walk, which was a kind of online artist talk and video performance for the Photographers Gallery. That's how I heard about Dina, actually, was through Sam Mercer. Because, and this is the specific stuff we talk about in this podcast, I'm doing lots of research into the TV show How It's Made at the moment. And Dina made a whole feature film out of clips from How It's Made called The Goal Is to Live. That's the title of the film. It's about 80 minutes long. There's a trailer on her website. I'll put that up on the, kind of notes to this show. And it's a very beautiful film. She sent me a screener of it to watch and I watched it and then we sat down to talk about it. It was made in 2019, so it's a few years old. She's done lots of work since then, so lots of interesting stuff on her website, which I'll also put up in the show notes. Let me just highlight a few things that we spoke about that we kind of either don't get the full details of or don't get the name right. Dina recommends a film called Manufactured Landscapes, which is by Jennifer Backwell, and it's a documentary that's actually about the work of the artist Edward Burtynsky, but Dina mentions it in the context of kind of beautiful films about industry. I then mention Haroon Farocki's Images of the World and the Inscription of War, but I do not say the right title at all, even though it definitely sounds like I think I've got it right. And that's available on YouTube, so I'll put a link up to that. And later on, Dina mentions a work by an artist called Andrew Norman Wilson, which is called Workers Leaving the Googleplex, and she just can't remember his name at that point. There's a few other links in the description of the podcast to things that we talk about. But basically, if you love How It's Made, then you'll love this podcast. And if you are interested, you can see a trailer for Dina's work, The Goal Is to Live, on her website. So yeah, that's what we talk about. But we start off talking about time differences because Dina had logged in about 3 hours early to our Zoom chat. And I felt bad because I knew that was probably early morning for her. So what time? It's like morning time for you, right?
Yeah, it's 11 and I'm so dumb because I got up early this morning thinking this was at 8 because I had a different...
Oh no, I'm sorry.
At 8 once. No, it was totally my fault. It was good because then I was up and at him.
Okay.
I mean, it's also fine because I have a baby, so I have to get up early anyway.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that I don't feel too bad. Yeah. How old's your baby?
It's all her fault. She's 9 months.
How's it going, being an artist with a baby?
It's weird. Not as much art happening.
Yeah.
I'm sort of freaked out by it, but it's okay. Everything's been super chaotic because pandemic. And then also we visited the East Coast. We were kicked out of our house for various reasons for 2.5 months, which sort of made everything that much weirder.
Yeah, sure. With a small baby, you had to go across to East Coast. Wow. That must have been hard work.
It was intense. We also took a train because we were afraid of pandemic.
Yeah.
So it took 4 days in a little train. Everything about it was weird. It's all been insane. And now we're about to move apartments in about a month. I'm just waiting for the next thing to lock in.
Oh man, that sounds like you've had a hard year, or at least a kind of stressful year.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of, it's okay. It was actually kind of, I think, the best possible time to have a baby because we were missing nothing. And
I've heard that. Yeah, you can just have time to yourselves and you haven't got people coming around every 5 minutes and saying, oh, can we see the baby?
Yeah. No, our families couldn't visit. So that wasn't a thing. And all our work got postponed. So we were just both home all the time.
Oh, that's good. We're having a baby in October. So I'm gathering.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm gathering info about how to carry on being
Is this
alive.
The first one? This is our first.
Yeah, this is our first too.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're just trying to work out what birth is and how that might go. But yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily for me, it's less interesting for me, but still scary and hard work.
It's definitely going to be less interesting, but you get, I think my husband had a way weirder time with the actual childbirth because I was just numb entirely.
Sure. Yeah,
and he watched it happen and he was horrified. Whereas I was we went to the hospital and then they handed me a baby. And I don't, And then he was like, I saw everything. It sounded like really crazy. I'm kind of jealous that he got that horrifying experience. But yeah, I'm sort of like, we're hitting the point now where we're just starting to be like, oh, how will we live our lives? So I don't know the answer yet. Everyone says you just have to maximize what time you have and you don't get to fuck around anymore.
Yeah, that seems like a positive version of it, a positive spin, which I appreciate from people. But the upspin does seem to be that you just have very, very little time. Someone the other day described the idea of reading a book. They've got a 2-year-old and the idea of reading a book was like laughable to them. Like, sitting down and like opening a book and like looking at it for more than 10 minutes is not going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is everything is so far is in like tiny fits. So it's like you can only do things that you can do in like 10-second bursts. I actually started reading a bunch when I was breastfeeding because all I could do was stare at my phone. Like I actually managed to fully get bored of my phone because I was just like, this is all I have. And it actually got me started reading books, and then breastfeeding ended and it's like all a mess again. It also keeps changing. It's all fucked. Is this the thing?
This is the thing, but we don't have to dwell on this. Why don't we head back to the heady days of 2019 before you had a young child? And so
life was sweet.
I watched your screen walk for the Photographers Gallery. Sam Mercer put me onto you because we've been talking about How It's Made, and he was like, oh, this amazing artist, Dina Kelberman, made this amazing film. But what I first watched was your screen walk, and I was really impressed with your performance and your talk. I'm really into your work, so I'm really happy to talk to you.
Thank you. Thanks.
But what we'll talk about today is particularly your 2019 film, The Goal Is to Live, because I'm currently writing about How It's Made. So you being an artist who's made something out of How It's Made is very interesting to me. Oh, I should give proper credit, shouldn't I? So it's called The Goal Is to Live, finished in 2019, and the music is made by Rod Hamilton and Tiffany Seal. Mm-hmm. It's a feature-length film made of edited footage taken from the TV show How It's Made. So I love How It's Made. We watch it every night before we go to bed as a kind of sleep aid, actually. We kind of use it to go to sleep. But what was your relationship with it before you made the film? I
think everyone find factory footage really fascinating and amazing, and how it's made. I just agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's just so soothing. It's fascinating. It's like really dorky. It's one of those shows that if you stumble on it on TV, which I don't watch TV a lot, but like in a hotel or something, when suddenly I'm like, what's on TV? If you stumble on How It's Made, you're probably stumbling on like a 10 episode stretch. It's one of those shows. I don't know. That's how they do it here, is if it's on, then it's about to be on for like many hours. And then I usually just have it on because it's hard to stop watching it. Yeah. So I just was a big fan of it. And I had this project in mind for like years and years that I just really wanted to know what would happen if I tried to cut it up and reorganize it. And I tried to sort of get grants for it, and that didn't pan out. And eventually I was like, you know what, just fucking make this thing. So then I started making it off and on, starting in like 2017 or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was one of my questions.
Working off and on. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a bit more detailed later with the actual making, but can you kind of sketch out the timeline then? So you started, how did you download because it's all high quality footage, so I assume you kind of got you like torrented all the series or something?
Yeah, well, actually, so I actually just went back for a second trying to remember when I started making it because it's all fuzzy. I have a terrible memory also, so this will be an awful recount of everything. But I got a small grant at one point just for artist work that I decided to put towards actually buying all of the seasons I could that were in HD and downloading them that way, which is the first time I'd ever not just like stolen stuff, and still illegal, I think. Yeah, so I actually did buy all the seasons, and it was really also sad because I wanted the project to be in HD, and the first several seasons are only in SD because of the time it was made. And that's when all the best stuff was, like crayons and all the stuff that they were immediately like, ooh, let's show how this, like all the stuff you wanted to see immediately when you had the idea to make that show. So it always pains me to think about. I've barely even looked at them because I can't. Also, the ones that were made subsequently, they're still making the show.
Yeah, sure.
Anything outside of those realms is just agonizing to think about how good it was or it will be.
That's interesting to think about that Like the first season is just people in a room being like, oh yeah, what about aluminium foil? And then like 10 series in, everyone's like, I think there's a factory that makes like cylinders for something.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like they start to get more into like weird handmade stuff after a while, because they're like you say, they're like running out of, they're like, those little dolls you see in the souvenir shop, like, oh, well, someone's making that, which I hate those because they don't fit into the thing I was trying to do at all.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
me crazy.
So maybe that's the next question about the film is how did you select? Because obviously there's like hundreds of hours of footage that you would have been going through, right? So how did you select the bits that got into the film?
If I liked them, if I thought they were beautiful, was basically the only thing. And then I was looking for predominantly things that were made, that were not handmade processes, because those are just sort of harder to fit together. But basically just the first pass I went through, and I was like, if I love how this looks, I'll clip it and then throw it into the pile and see if I use it later.
Let's get into that. So you'd have an episode up in your editing software and then you would scrub through it, or would you watch it?
Yeah, no, I totally didn't watch it. Which is funny because you had asked sort of, or mentioned like the meditative process or how meditative the show is. But since I wasn't watching it in real time, I just scrub through, or actually what I mainly did was I think I took all of the audio tracks off of them so that the file size would be easier to handle. I'm trying to remember how this process worked. I remember I didn't have audio on a bunch of them. After a while, I figured out that made it easier. And then I would just watch them in fast forward in QuickTime.
Okay.
And I just use QuickTime 7 for the beginning processes of everything because it's the best program.
Oh, so you would get your clips from QuickTime rather than in an editing software then?
Yeah, definitely. I would. I mean, this may be like a terrible process. This is just what I always do for things. I watch everything in fast forward and QuickTime. I grab the little bits, I save them into a giant folder, and I kind of saved them with tags that was, like blue machine, goo, or things like that. So that later I could have some sort of organizational method. So a lot of the time I didn't have the soundtrack. I didn't necessarily know what I was watching anymore. By the time I was going back to look at the clips, I usually had no idea what I was looking at anymore, which is pretty funny part of the process.
That's interesting because that turns, as a viewer, the whole raison d'etre of how it's made disappears because it becomes very hard to identify, which is obviously I'm assuming that's the point of the film, but it's interesting to know that you were having a similar experience as you're selecting the clips.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really helped because I didn't get hung up on the conceptual idea of like, well, this is going to be this. I was just like, well, it's green goo, and now I get to figure out what it's going to be. So
you got all your clips, and then, how did you sequence them? So you must have ended up with more clips than you used, right?
Oh, yeah, tons more than I used. I wish I looked up the actual numbers. Like I had thousands and thousands of clips by the end. And I think I only used about, I want to say 1,000 or something I can't remember in the thing. There's so many of my favorites left over that I couldn't use. And I actually did a sort of sister project that I just called Comps for no reason, where I've sort of made some little formal video experiments, just using a lot of the leftover clips because I had so much stuff left over that I loved so much that didn't fit in. But basically I just grabbed something to start with pretty arbitrarily. And then I just sort of started making it. And then I just sort of, I was just like, well, what can go next? What can go next? And then saw how long I could do it for. And at some point I realized I could make it loop back around. And then I made that happen. And that kind of involved utter weird fiddling,
I watched the whole thing today and I saw that it loops, but obviously I wasn't looping it. So in what way do you mean? Because to me it seemed to go back to, I definitely noticed the end clip was the same as the first clip, but in the version I watched, it fades to black anyway. Is that right?
So yes. It's there's basically a screening version, which is that where it has to end. Or it could be installed on an endless loop where it never ends. It just keeps going. Cool.
Okay. So, I forgot to ask, how long did that process take you of watching or scrubbing through the clips and pulling out what you wanted?
I looked this up. I think I did the bulk of that in 2017 and into 2018. I went to Reykjavik for this residency and like went insane and just sat in this room by myself, staring at clips all day, like scrubbing. And then it was too cold to like do anything except for I would walk to the public pool and go in their like public pool hot tubs every day. And then I would go back to the residency and kind of hide in my tiny dark room. And I didn't think about this, but because of the time difference, like I couldn't even really talk to any of my friends or like my boyfriend. I would be able to communicate with people for like during like a 1 hour window every day. It's kind of hellish, but funny. So I did most of it there. And then the rest of it back in Baltimore. And I started assembling it, I think, in 2018 and finished at the end of 2019, kind of right a little bit. I had just started booking like a tour to try to go and show it to people. And then pandemic hit.
Okay. So is it being shown anywhere?
Not much. I had a screening here in LA where I live now, and it's shown like in a couple little galleries, but not much. I'm sort of, now that the world is coming back, going to reinvigorate that effort.
Do you think it would work in like film festivals? Have you ever had your work in that context?
I haven't, because I'm not predominantly a filmmaker, but I would love to show it. I would be happy to show. I mean, I always envisioned it as an installation, but I did, after screening it here for sort of like friends, I felt like I did like how it worked as a screening, so I would be into showing it that way too.
It kind of works. Like, I mean, I like to see it in an installed format because it obviously works. It would work well on a monitor, like as a sculptural film object thing. But watching it's pretty great. I mean, I just like watching that stuff because I like watching how it's made anyway. But you go through quite a few phases of your relationship with it. First, it's just quite striking. The clips you've selected are really beautiful. The colours are really striking. And they probably are in how it's made anyway, but they're not selecting their clips on the basis of how aesthetically pleasing they are. And also one thing that really struck me is that I don't think I've ever seen how it's made in HD, because all the YouTube is...
Really?
I don't think so, because all the YouTubes are standard definition.
Oh, interesting.
And on TV here, I mean, I just haven't watched it on TV for a long time. I don't have a TV at home, and HD, I just haven't seen it. So, so I was just like glued to these beautiful clips. And then
that's why I had to do it that way. It's so like some of that stuff is so incredible, like the molten, I don't know, everything is amazing in HD.
And what am I trying to say? Oh, yeah, okay. So you go through, I went through this kind of sequence of feelings, and one of them was like it's like a dissociative, which is a bit like, do you know, like deja vu and jamais vu? Have you heard those before?
Yeah.
It's like similar to that, but it's a feeling I've had before in immersive kind of film experiences or art experiences, where for a moment you think that something must have been staged. Like there were clips that seemed suddenly so absurd that for a second, like not rationally, just totally, I knew that you had just used clips from how it's made, but suddenly without their context. One of them was like, they take a little bit of string and they hold it up to the camera and they just drop it down a pipe. And I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, I think that's set up. I think she's maybe like inserted like,
that's one of my favorite. I love that clip. Yeah. That's great. Wouldn't it be funny if I put a couple in?
I mean, you'd have had to have a real budget to do that.
Yeah.
Like an amazing
but honestly,
budget.
Then it's cheating. It would have made the whole thing a lot easier if I had done that. I love that clip. There are some really funny moments in how it's made like that, especially when you take them out of the context and you're like, that was one that I remember being like, what the hell is this one from? I think they're making a javelin. I might be wrong.
That's great. That's really good. It's nice that you don't know either. Oh, why was it feature length? Because that's why I asked about festivals or something, because it could have been much longer. It would have been more work, I suppose. And I suppose it could have been shorter, but it seems like duration is important to it.
Well, honestly, that is how long I could keep going with what I had.
Yeah.
It's like I could start it all over again and maybe make a different length thing. But basically, from where I had started, that was the limit I hit with the clips I had that I thought I could keep going.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're probably alluding to something I haven't actually asked you about, which is, so what was the kind of, I know a lot of it must have been intuitive, but what was the logic of the sequencing of the clips? Was there any rules that you applied to it?
The only rule was, using only clips from the show and no editing other than, the sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the time, clipping time, but I wasn't zooming in or editing color or reversing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which drove me insane. There were so many where I was like, if I just reversed this, I could make this, like, I would end up with these chunks that I couldn't get together and go insane. That's what all my work is like. I like to torture myself.
So what would make a sequence not work, when you're trying to put it together?
I mean, essentially, I'm just trying to be as convincing as possible that one thing has actually led to the next.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, there are more successful moments than others. And after a while, that would start to break my brain also. And I definitely had to go to other people and be like, does this make any sense to you? I've lost perspective entirely.
But for the most part, one clip that followed another would never be the actual clip that followed the other.
That's mixed. That's a mix. It's like,
okay.
like there are some moments where the camera cuts and it is the true next moment. There's not a lot of them.
There's some really amazing bits where something is produced, so like formed, and then I was like, oh no, this is the same sequence. This is from how it's made. Like you've used several clips in a row, and then suddenly it would be going back into like a crusher to be crushed. I was like, oh no, that can't be right.
Yeah. That's good.
And I feel like the kind of clear sections for me were like the molten metal section, the disc section. Like a lot of stuff towards the end was the like kind of whizzy fabric. What am I trying to say? Just like fabric material or feathery stuff. So, but at the start, it felt like it was more color, or there was a lot of blue stuff being poured in and out of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it became more limited as I went on. So I may at the beginning I would have like all the blue clips I'd gotten from the whole thing to sort of choose from, and then by the end I would only have one blue thing left, so I don't know, actually that's an interesting, like I wish I could look at it with blank eyes or something to be able to see that thing that you're describing as more clearly, if it's more evident that the things change more at the beginning than they can at the end.
Yeah, I see what you mean. You could make connections across a wider range of content at the start. Okay. Have you watched it? When it was screened, did you sit in the audience and watch it?
Yeah, it was weird. I was actually the entire time, I was like, this is a total failure. This doesn't work at all. I'm so embarrassed. But also I laughed at a couple moments like that, because there's some things in there that still I just think are so funny. But I don't know, I got a good reception, so I felt better afterwards. But I was so critical of it at this
point. It's pretty amazing. Like beholding it as a thing that exists in the world is pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
What about the music then? So are these people you know already that you've worked with?
The Rod and Tiffany, I don't know super well, but I know them. I lived in Baltimore for 13 years and they're from Baltimore, and I knew them and I was a big fan of their music, and I just sort of hit them up to see if they would be interested, and they were really incredibly great. Like they basically were just like, sure, like they kind of just like immediately sent back like the perfect thing. It was the simplest, because I'm a control freak, as you might imagine. And so I was like a little bit scared of this collaboration element, because I'd never made a film like this before. And I was like, well, the music is such an intense part of it. I was like, oh, what if they send something and I hate it and I have to like have a weird conversation? And then it was just like, oh, no, it's perfect. And I really, really love what they did. And I would just listen to it, independently of the visuals also. I think it's beautiful. They're really cool. And I would love for ultimately for it to be played live along with it at some point, maybe in the future. I don't know. But I imagine that would be a cool thing.
It's got an interesting relationship to the actual music on the show, because it's got a similar frenetic, like too fast vibe. Like it's got this drone that goes throughout the whole thing. And then it's got all these like 16th notes, like going super fast. But at the same time, it's like not going anywhere and like not progressing at all, which is in vibe is very similar to the music on the show, but it's obviously totally, in terms of tone and like the timbre of the sound is totally different. Did you ask them to be guided by the music from the show, or?
No. I gave them some other reference points of sort of like minimalist music. I'm really, I don't, do you know The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I mean, I know of it, but I've never read it.
Very off topic, but there's the song Rainbow and Curved Airs in Hitchhiker's Guide, which I was obsessed with when I was like a kid, and I've been obsessed with that song since then. And so that was kind of a big influence, which I think very much comes through. I actually wasn't thinking about the music for the show at all, but I do feel like, Philip Glass just really drilled that sort of thing in combination with that kind of footage into all of our brains. And haven't escaped that.
Oh, you mean like Kayana or something like that?
Yeah. I think, for me, that's always sort of like the reference point.
That's such an obvious. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that at all, but that's so true,
That's
isn't
funny.
it? So
well, that's nice because I feel like it's too obvious even. I'm sort of self-conscious of that.
No. Well, I mean, it makes so much sense, but I just didn't occur to me. What for you makes that connection?
I don't know. I guess I was really, really into Koyaanisqatsi. I love all of the Koyaanisqatsi movies. And I haven't watched, I guess, a lot of other similar films like that are in that genre. So that's just the one that stands out to me that, again, I sort of got into many, many years ago. And it's just like been in my life popping up and revisited over and over. And so it's just sort of always, that's like the ambient film.
Yeah. I wonder if it's something to do with there not being many humans in it.
Yes. Well, yeah, but one of my, I just want to watch all of them again.
The second one's got lots of people in.
Yeah, I was going to say, the other two kind of are much more people-y. And the second one, I guess, is predominantly about people.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
But I definitely try to avoid people in my work in general. And one thing I do think that I always found funny in the How It's Made clips, and that I kind of made myself laugh in The Goal Is to Live, is whenever like a person shows up with and like uses their hand in something. It's always so funny to me. Like they'll just like, a hand will appear and just show you a ball and then throw the ball into something. And it's like, there's something, they're so proud of themselves or something.
Yeah. It's the only times when there's like real performance and it's always like hammy, like really, yes. because they would throw this thing into the machine, right? They would normally just throw the thing into the machine, but they've been asked to like come in and like hold it up and then like place it in, and they're like enjoying their moment on screen. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole world in there of like, the employees who are really annoyed and trying to just do their job or like don't want to be on camera. And then it's like, it just occurred to me, like the hand that holds the ball, like, did they hire someone to do that? Or is that the ball thrower? Because the hammy moments like sort of feel like they hired an actor to be like,
oh, maybe
do this convincing. I don't know. It's because sometimes there's employees doing their thing where you're like, man, you're just so annoyed right now. You don't want to be here.
My friend worked in a factory when he was 18, 19, and it was like a pipe fitting factory, and his job was to put one bit of pipe into another bit of pipe. And he said the worst thing about it, the job itself was not great, but the worst thing about it was they'd have a leaderboard, and if you got like really good scores, they'd like all stand and clap you at the end of the day. And he said the worst thing was like winning that thing because it suddenly was this focus on a job that you spent all your time trying to zone out of, and then suddenly you're like being made aware that you're doing this job, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be good at this job, I just want to forget that I exist.
Yeah, like it gives you like the number of things you did that day appears, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Actually, that reminded me, have you seen the movie Manufactured Landscapes?
No, what's that?
You will love this movie. It's another factory type kind of ambient movie, and there's moments where I think are they in China? I can't remember the details of it, but there's some moments that I remember where there's just like footage of people putting together, like assembling little electronic bits where they have to put like 5 little diddly things together, and they're just doing it with this speed and expertise that's like boggling, and it's alarming in that way, like your friend experienced, where you're just like, oh, you know how to do this so well that it's like upsetting.
Yeah.
And just to think like, wow, you do that 8 hours a day, every day. It's like, part of me is like, that seems fun. But that's ridiculous. I'm sure it's insane. After 3 days, how long did your friend have that job? I want to know more about that.
I guess it must have just been a summer job.
I mean, obviously tons and tons of people have these jobs, but I've never met any of them.
Yeah. It depends where you're from in the country. He just happened to be, the UK is not a big place, and I lived in the next town over from him, but it just happened to be that in the town where he lived, there's a few factories. So that's the kind of work you can get. Whereas in my town, it's like got a high street, and you work in a shop or in a pub or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about these jobs, is that some people it's about class and capitalism, and other people it's just like what's available.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, yeah, that's it. But I just mean if it's like a summer job or a temp job or something.
Yeah. There's the temporary kid doing whatever fill-in version, and then there's the like, this is like life here version.
Is there something about, I mean, to be honest, I don't know enough of your work to know this, but do you have an interest in the kind of extremely tedious labor or something? Because it struck me that some of the labor you're doing to make this film is repetitive enough to be like the labor that's on display in How It's Made.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I think I fantasize that the factory job would be fun. It's because I like insanely repetitious, tedious. This is part of why having a child is terrifying for me, because all my work is centered around spending like an inordinate amount of time on something. But also my work is all kind of like these piecemeal things that I actually can do in little bits, and then it's often like a big pile I'm accumulating, so I can kind of throw stuff into the pile and keep going. And I'm often doing like a lot of things at once. So it's sort of like, I'll get into these tedious focused zones for projects, but then also there's another element that's very chaotic where I just have like 6 different projects that are 6 different piles. And I'm just like, oh, there's one. And I throw it into that. And so I'm kind of also like multitasking and doing everything badly at once in that sort of way. And then I'll like get real focused into like, this needs to be up 1 pixel or that sort of thing. I often wonder if I have OCD. But I don't think I have. I think I have whatever pulls me in just under the line.
Do you still watch How It's Made now?
No, well, like I said, so I would if it was on, but I don't like have TV anymore because TV's just like not a thing in my life anymore. And I don't like put it on. Maybe when like my kid is older and wants to watch stuff, we'll watch How It's Made. But no, I don't. I should check in and see what they've been making. One
of my favorite Wikipedia pages while writing this essay is the list of How It's Made episodes.
Oh, yeah. I looked at that a lot.
Yeah. It's good. I've been speaking about it a lot because obviously this is what happens when you're doing something, you speak about it a lot. And actually, someone I met while I was doing a lecture, they've got a kid who's about maybe like 3 or 4. Is that right? I think so. And they'll do it instead of a bedtime story. They'll watch How It's Made together. Ooh. And I think at first the kid, they must be older than that because they asked like, oh, how do they make basketballs? So they watched that episode and now that's what they do for like bedtime, which I think is really nice.
I know we've been agreeing that it's very meditative, but my immediate thought about that was like, but that would get you all wound up and excited before bed.
Well, this is what I'm trying to, because, okay, my like thesis, and it's not like I fully believe it because I think there's lots of problems with it. How It's Made has this amazing approach to presenting information in which they deploy clarity, but they do not necessarily explain. Like, so everything sounds and looks very clear, but by the end, or like at any particular stage, you might not exactly know what's happening. You can see what's happening, and what's happening on screen is being described by the voice. And often there's like close-ups and slow-mo footage, and that is clarifying, but it's not necessarily like explaining.
Yeah, there's also big leaps, and sometimes really big ones. And, sometimes, especially in the later seasons, like, where they don't know what to make, and they'll be like, here's how you make like the wheel well of a car, and they'll be like, well, you take the steel that you have that's pre-drilled and you bend it with this, and you're just like, wait, what? And obviously also it's infinitely recursive because you can always be like, well, how'd they make that hose that they're attaching to that thing now, or like all these things. And it's funny because it does like they have no rule about their own scale, I guess. This like sometimes it's like in this incredible detail, like crayons or whatever, because it's like a simpler process maybe, or I think with smaller things, sometimes it works out that way. And sometimes it's a bicycle and they're like, well, you attach the wheels to the bike. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's true as well. Obviously, the whole thing is they have to slot them into these 5-minute segments, right? So whether it's a very, very, very complex process or a very simple process, it has to fill or be squished into 5 minutes. So yeah, some of the handicraft, the kind of artisanal ones, they're like, 2 minutes of it is just a guy like chiseling a bit of wood. Whereas some of the more complex ones, like how they make graphics processing units or whatever. It's
right.
Like,
Yeah, they're nuts.
I'm calling it mesmerizing clarity. There's a really nice interview with the makers, the like producers of the show, and they're talking about how if they're having I'll send you a link after this, but they're talking about how if they're having a meeting about how it's made, and the Discovery Channel is on in the background, or the Science Channel or whatever, and how it's made is on, they all get mesmerized by it, and they all just turn away and start watching their own show.
Wow.
They have to turn it off.
Yeah, don't get high on your own supply. That's amazing.
I think there's lots of gaps in that. One of them is the artisanal ones, because they're just they seem really odd and out of place to me. But that to me, it seems to be something to do with how they present a very neat version of the capitalist process. Like, you never see people, or you just see their hands or the tools that they're using. Like I don't know what the film is like, Manufactured Landscapes, but there's plenty of films like attempts to present what it is to create something under capitalism. And how it's made is like not that, even though that's exactly what it says it is. And I think that neatness of how it's exactly not what it says it is the thing that's like soporific and relaxing to people who live under capitalism, as in everyone, all humans. Right.
Well, it's total propaganda, but it's also just like really beautiful and enjoy. You're just like, I should buy a bike. The crayons. How wonderful. And it is like incredible, it's like human ingenuity and all of this, but it's also terrifying because you watch all the crayons get pumped out and you're like, well, surely we don't need this many crayons. Like, where are these all going? It's like, it's so many feelings at once. But like you say, they all kind of get zonked out of you and you're just like,
I don't really watch Rick and Morty, but while researching this, there's a Rick and Morty kind of satire or parody of how it's made. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
It's just a very short piece. It's anyway, they're making, what is it? A dingle. Oh, I can't remember what it is. They're making an absurd thing, and the whole thing is completely doesn't make any sense. All the processes are crazy. And at the end, Rick turns to the other characters and they're like, oh, that's how they make that thing. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, you don't necessarily want to learn anything. There's no reason why you want to know how crayons are made, but it's nice to see it. And once you've seen it, you can just move on. It's not like you're like, oh, now I'm going to Google loads about the making of crayons. Maybe some people are, I don't know.
Yeah, there's not much to do with that information.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, yeah.
Another just made me think about how another one that has pretty glaring omissions is when they're processing meat.
Ah, yeah.
And they're just like, so first you dump the ground meat into the vat. And you're like, yes, first.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Is that, and this is, I was reading, do you know Haroon Farocki, the filmmaker?
No.
Oh, like a German filmmaker. He died in the kind of, not that long ago, but making films from the 70s to now. Really serious, but really amazing films. Like my favourite one that I've watched is called Images of War. Oh, fuck it. Images or the Inscription of War. Like super serious, video essays with slow German narration. But one of the films he made with an accompanying essay was called Workers Leaving the Factory Gates, which is like the first ever bit of cinema footage is shot. It's called Workers Leaving the Lumiere Factory Gates. So it's like the first thing that was ever shot, I think, or shown in a cinema. I can't quite remember which one. Anyway, so he then goes through and finds lots and lots of examples of workers being filmed outside factory gates in cinema, but also in documentary and stuff, and then puts them together into a montage film, a little bit like The Goal Is to Live. But his whole point is that capitalist or industrial cinema can never show what's inside the factory. It can only show what happens when the workers leave the factory. But it strikes me that he must never have seen how it's made, because industrial cinema did in the end discover how to make it how to sell it, basically, how to sell this thing that's essentially the ugly truth. They worked out to wrap it up.
They're in control of it. They get to pick what's getting shown. That's funny. That's interesting because I just watched this video and I forgot the artist's name because my bad brain, but it's Workers Leaving the Googleplex, which I now realize is a reference to that, where it's about this guy, when he worked at Google, he filmed all of the people of this particularly low tier classification. It was the people that were scanning all the books and stuff leaving. And it sort of just chronicles everyone, the authorities at Google flipping out that he did this. And eventually he gets fired for sort of filming and that, standing there filming them with his phone, I think, even, or something. It's super simple. He was like, I work right there. I'm just filming this. And it's like a huge problem. It's very interesting, but I didn't realize the reference, but now that makes sense.
I'll send you, I can't remember if I actually have the film, but there's an essay by him that's really nice. And it's all about the inability of capitalism to show the process behind the gates. But how it's made does, to go back to that idea of put your ground chicken in the big processing machine, is that it always starts and ends at the factory gates. You never see like a truck leaving. Sometimes you see trucks coming in, but it's like geographically located in one place, which is completely out of date, right? Like capitalism doesn't work like that anymore. And to go back to the meat processing, those things are totally separate for many reasons that are historical, legal, and the abattoir is elsewhere. But there is one, maybe it's like battery chickens or something, and they do weirdly address that. They address it at the end. They say battery farming is not good for the chickens, but I don't know if this is like so it would be interesting. I can't remember. They're basically saying it's bad and there's better ways of getting chicken.
Really?
Yeah, but I will have to find it, because again, I'd be interested to see. The British version is exactly the same script, but it's narrated by a different narrator.
What? Really?
And the Canadian and the American versions are narrated by different narrators too.
What?
It's a Canadian show, and it's.
I knew that, but I didn't know that. Why? Is it different scripts? Have you compared?
I haven't compared. I guess the Canadian narrator is, they've changed over the years, but they do have Canadian, it's like identifiably, even to me as a Brit, they are Canadian accents. So I wonder if it's just like it's a big enough show to merit, we need an American narrator for the American audience, US audience.
Oh, that's so bizarre.
Yeah, very
I want
weird.
to hear them all at once.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's your next.
That's so
the next
weird.
version.
It's like it's all the same language.
It's so weird. And the British, so I wondered if it was I might try and seek out the different versions of that same thing. I can't remember if it's battery farmed chickens or battery farmed eggs. Is it just the UK version, or is it in the US version and the Canadian version as well? Yeah.
That makes me so curious. It's like my mom, I haven't read the Harry Potter books. My mom was really into them, and she would complain to me about how they would make Americanized versions of the books where they would just change like little British slang words, and she'd be like, it's so stupid. And I wonder if there's stupid little things like that. And
I knew that about books. That's like very common, like, because there are different spellings, but they will always do that. If it's a book that's being printed at scale, or whatever the phrase is for books, a lot of books being printed, they will always change all the spellings and try and change the, all the slang and stuff like that. Which
I didn't know
crazy.
That was a common thing. It's totally insane. And it's like, well, at that point, why don't you just change all the words you think people might not know? Like, what? It's words. That's the point. But they don't say where any of the factories are.
No, I've looked into it. They never say, but they started off just in Canada, then they started going to America, and then they have been to Mexico as well, which is some of the artisanal stuff is definitely Mexico. The other thing of it, which I can't quite work out how to write it, is like their model is like an old form. The model of the way they make how it's made is like an out-of-date procedure under contemporary capitalism. Like capitalism these days has no need to locate itself geographically. It can just, you could have your factory over here, and shipping makes it basically free to produce over there and bring over here. Whereas how it's made, the way they will shoot the episodes is they will locate a place that has a lot of factories in one place, and they will like go around all the different factories, like shooting lots of sequences. So they have this kind of old artisanal style of filming where it's still very like, they don't have like multiple teams like going out across the world or something. It's like still, a load of people in a minivan driving down to wherever.
Yeah. Wait, have you talked to any of the people that work on the show?
No, there's a number of interviews online that I just found. Someone's already stolen the best title for an essay about how it's made, which is how it's made is made.
I jumped on that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we could talk about how it's made for a long time, but I won't keep you anymore because, I feel like I'm sure you have better things to do with your day. But thanks so much. No. I can't think if there's any other things I wanted to ask you. I think that's everything. Oh, like, did you end up discovering anything or like learning anything about the show from making the film?
I'm sure at the time I would have had an answer for that, because whenever I'm doing a project like this, I get really frustrated with some like really tiny. Oh, I think one thing I'm not learning anything, but I'll learn like little tendencies or just things like, oh, they always put this really good footage under the credits or something like that. Just anything that gets in my way a little bit repeatedly. Or, in other projects, it's like, people are always filming their hands from too far away or something. So I'm sure I had some like really insane complaint at the time, but now I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Other than the thing where all the good footage is surely in SD.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that makes me feel really sad for the film that could have been. But
I'll make an SD version just to satisfy.
Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Dina for speaking to me. It was really fun. She's a great interviewee and a great artist. So, yeah, check her stuff out. I'll be back at some point soon with another interview. Till then, goodbye.